Okay, so it is three past. So let us get started. Again, welcome everyone. Today we'll be talking about the Social Benefits Playbook and the Eligibility Framework. So before we begin, gotta flash the safe harbor notice. Please understand that this presentation may contain forward-looking statements, but that plans may change, and just to keep that at the back of your mind. This webinar is part of a much larger series called Live on ServiceNow, and this is all designed to help customers like you adopt ServiceNow capabilities and achieve value faster. So with the QR code, you can see the full schedule. A link will also be shared in today's chat. So use that to continue your learning journey. A bit of housekeeping. We have saved at the end, we have saved time at the end for Q&A, but feel free to use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen along the way and ask questions. We have Ryan Griffin and Tamir Segal on the call along with me, and so they can help out and answer questions along the way. Just know that this presentation will be recorded and shared on the ServiceNow community, and that after this event, you will be prompted to fill out a short survey. We thank you in advance for your feedback. So now on to introductions. I'm Kai Amory, Outbound Product Manager for Public Sector Digital Services. In my role, I am focused on enablement, both internal and external enablement, along with driving our go-to-market approach. I'll kick it off to my colleague, Ryan, to introduce himself.
Thank you, Kat. I appreciate it. Ryan Griffin here. I too am a product manager on the inbound side. And what I do is basically partner with our engineering team to bring a lot of the great functionality that you're about to see to life. So I'll turn it over to Tamir, who will also introduce himself. Tamir?
Yeah, thank you, Ryan. So my name is Tamir Segal. I'm Director of Product Management here in ServiceNow, and I'm part of the Data Foundations BU. And I'm responsible for Policy as Code Engine, which is the foundation of the eligibility framework that we're going to showcase later on today.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. So on to the agenda. We're going to do a quick overview of PSDS. Then we're going to talk about some of the customer challenges that we identified as we explored the social benefit space. Then we will go through an overview of the solution that we delivered, do some live demonstrations so that you can see the features in action, and then wrap up with some next steps. Let's begin. So our product overview. So, Public Sector Digital Services is ServiceNow's digital platform to speed up the delivery of government services. We have a suite of package applications designed to help you achieve value faster and help you fulfill your missions. So, our first package application was a service request playbook, which was designed to digitize non-emergency services such as 311 requests. Our latest package application, the Social Benefits Playbook, is designed to help agencies deliver critical financial social assistance in record time. But for all of our package applications, we have a couple of things in common. So first, we have a data model that supports modeling agencies, businesses, and constituents on a single platform. We have process orchestration capabilities built in to digitize the end-to-end flow. We have guided customer and agent experiences for end users. And this all serves to help agencies lower the time to value, improve agent productivity, and ultimately improve services and build trust with their constituent base. I also wanted to highlight a new plugin that we've delivered. So the Service Applicant Information Common plugin is a new plugin enabling customers to capture additional information during case creation. So this includes a data model and a corresponding custom UI to facilitate storing applicant information and specifically financial information. And wanted to highlight our journey to date. So PSDS launched in San Diego with a government service case type, along with some initial uh, innovations around supporting constituent services. Since then, we've branched off, we've built out our agency services capabilities, our business support services capabilities, and started launching those packaged applications for various use cases. Awesome. So now we are going to move into the social benefits playbook and eligibility framework and talk about that at length. Um, and I actually do have a poll, so let us look at that. So you should see the first poll, and we just wanted to hear from you. What are some of your challenges? What is your biggest challenge with eligibility determination currently? So I see some responses coming in. But yeah, go ahead and share with us what you think is your biggest challenge. You can also feel free to use other if that is more applicable to you. But I'll just give a few more moments so that we can see all of the so we can get everyone to chime in. Okay. Looks like we have a good solid number of folks participating. So I'm going to end this poll and share the results. Okay, so it looks like right now our top uh, challenge is manual data entry. So thank you guys for that. Okay, so on to our next one. This is for if you selected other. We'd just love to know what you do consider your biggest challenge. Oh, sorry, guys. Huh, this poll is being a little wonky, but um, we'll just move on. Okay. So, thank you guys for sharing what you guys face as your biggest challenge. We've, in our process of delivering this innovation, have talked to many customers about their challenges, and some common themes came up. We heard that you guys are struggling to provide financial and social assistance in a consistent and expedient fashion. And this is because you're managing large volumes of pretty complex applications while relying on a combination of legacy solutions, commercial off-the-shelf solutions, and manual processes. And these are all disconnected, which it makes it hard to navigate. And this results in subpar experiences for nearly everyone. So constituents struggle to understand which benefit programs they are available for. And once they do find the right program, they struggle with the complex and long forms. And then agencies have their own challenges, right? Oftentimes we're relying on mainframe systems to do eligibility determination. And as you know, these systems are difficult to learn and even more difficult to maintain. And it can be challenging when there are new regulations and new laws and the rules that govern eligibility need to be updated. So, the social benefits playbook from PSDS is our answer to these challenges. And we see there being three key benefits. So, first, this allows agencies like you to quickly deploy a purpose-built application with all of the needed building blocks. This is important because sometimes you need to stand up a benefit program very quickly, right? There might be a natural disaster or a public health emergency, and so you don't have the time to go through this long deployment process. You need something that can be stood up fairly fast. We're also enabling agencies, once they have stood up their benefit program, to process constituent requests consistently and fairly by guiding government workers through the entire process. So we've built in business logic. the government worker knows exactly what the next step is in the process. And that really just makes sure that they are doing all of the right actions to deliver a fair result for the constituent. And then finally, we're reducing citizen effort for requesting benefits. So, right, those applications are very long, and complex, but we've broken down the process into steps that are manageable for the constituent. We also have built-in auto savings, so the constituent can stop and start as they see fit. And this again just helps make sure that constituents can work at their own pace. As part of the Social Benefits Playbook, we are delivering the eligibility framework. And this enables agencies to define and manage the rules determining eligibility and calculating benefits. So this makes it easy for governments to design and institute eligibility systems and make updates as laws and regulations change. It also reduces the manual effort from agents as they're trying to make decisions. So they're going to get an auto-generated eligibility recommendation within the workflow that shows them whether the constituent is eligible and what are the reasons for that recommendation. So did they meet the gross threshold income? Did they meet these other requirements? And then it also will show those agents a benefit summary. So exactly how much the constituent is owed and for how long. And this is just all serves to minimize subjectivity. So instead of an agent having to go through different systems, try to piece together information, we're bringing the decision making to them, giving them all that information that they need to make an educated decision. And this all in turn makes it easier for agencies to process large volumes of applications consistently and accurately. So there are many reasons to adopt the social benefits playbook, but I'm going to highlight three key reasons. First, it is coherent. Our unified architecture means that it is easy for you to extend what we've built, tailoring the base application to meet your agency's specific needs. Second, it is composable. So we have activities that you should see as building blocks to create the eligibility rules and the benefit processes that are specific to your agency. Third, it is connected. So you can orchestrate a benefit process within your agency, but also across multiple. We have built-in case tasks so that you can give parts of the process to other departments, other agencies. And this all helps you to fulfill your missions with a faster time to value, faster benefit delivery, and just ultimately helping you to economically empower your constituent base. So there's a lot to love, but I know it's always better to see than it is to hear. So I'm going to pass it off to my colleague, Ryan Griffin, and he's going to go through some demos. But actually, right before we go into those demos, I wanted to highlight a key few things about our eligibility framework because this is very new, along with the technology that is powering it. So, our social benefits eligibility framework is a rules engine that is powered by policy as code engine. And for those of you who are not familiar, policy as code engine is a powerful low code rules engine capable of processing rules in seconds. And this makes it easy for process owners and admins to create rules, update rules, test rules, etc. And one thing to note here is that we call eligibility rules in policy as code engine as policy. So if you hear me say policy from now on, know that that is a rule set essentially. And so there's a lot of things that you can do with our policy as code engine uh, eligibility solution. So an admin could create a policy to build out the logic determining eligibility and benefits. They have the ability to use templates to make policy creation even faster, so they can predefine logic and data sources to make this process faster. Once they have the policy set up, they can map policies to one or more benefit types. And before putting policies in production, they can test them using a test playground, and they can audit policy executions and see what was the decision, what was the status, what was the processing time. So that information is available to them. And then how our solution works. So let's just walk through an example of how this might work. So let's imagine that a constituent named Sarah has submitted a new benefit case for nutrition assistance. Our engine will first extract her application data using the case's unique SIS ID. Then it's going to run that data through all the policies that have been mapped to that particular benefit type. And once the execution is complete, an admin can view a log of that execution and drill into the details that are of interest to him or her. At the same time, a case agent or a caseworker can actually get an auto-generated recommendation that highlights what's the constituent determination is and why. So that is how it works. And this all serves to provide better outcomes for all of you. So this helps to increase the number of apps processed on time and also serves to increase the number of apps that are processed accurately. Okay, wonderful. So now with that, I will pass it off to my colleague, Ryan Griffin, to show this feature in action and
Awesome.
stop
Thank you so much.
sharing.
Thank you, Kai. I appreciate it. Just give me a moment here. I'm actually going to share my screen as well. And I'm going to pick up where Kai left off. So hopefully that's loading in on your side as we speak. I'm going to walk through a couple of different demos for you. The first being an update to an existing eligibility rule. We have a hypothetical situation here where a new law was recently passed that changes certain parameters within a specific eligibility rule. So I'm going to show how that eligibility rule can be updated. And then ultimately, I want to show how we can test that change. And then ultimately, we want to publish that rule after that successful test passes. And then the second demonstration, I'll just tee it up, is on a new eligibility rule. So not only do we have the ability to to update existing eligibility rules, but we also have the functionality to create and maintain net new rules. So let's start off with the first use case, which involves Michael Smith, our system administrator. And I'm going to flip over to our instance here and just talk a little bit about this user interface. So as you can see, there is a whole host of eligibility rules listed here. We've set up some existing ones for purposes of this demonstration. And I'm going to click into our sample monthly gross income eligibility rule. And it's on this screen where we have 5 different tabs that provide details about this eligibility rule. The first tab is our details tab. This really shares some high-level information about the eligibility rule. For example, its name, the category to which it may be assigned, and as well as creation and update information. The second tab, which is really the meat of our policy, is known as our policy builder. This contains really the business logic for the eligibility rule itself. It's here where changes to existing rules can be made and tests can be run on those changes to determine the impact. The third tab, our version management tab, really stores all the version information about the eligibility rule itself. You can see here, for purposes of demonstration, we've created a variety of different versions for this specific eligibility rule involving monthly household gross income. Flipping over to our mappings tab, this mappings tab really provides the ability to create and manage relationships between the eligibility rule itself and a specific eligibility benefit program. So for sake of demonstration, you can see here that this monthly gross income eligibility rule is mapped to our nutrition assistance benefit program. And then last but not least is our executions tab. Here we can view a variety of information about previous executions for this benefit eligibility rule. This information is inclusive of certain tests we may have run on the rule itself, as well as production runs of the eligibility rule. So I'm going to navigate back to our Policy Builder tab to illustrate how we can change an existing eligibility rule. So just to set the stage in terms of a hypothetical scenario, let's just say that recent legislation was passed where the total monthly gross income for a household has changed from $2,500 over to $3,000. So I'm going to first create a copy of this existing eligibility rule. And why we do that is because published policies cannot be changed. We, as I mentioned earlier, maintain existing versions of policies. And so therefore, when we want to change an existing policy, we in effect create a net new version of that policy so that we have full traceability and audit trail of all the changes that may have taken place on a specific policy. One other thing to call out is that, as you can see, this UI offers low-code, no-code capabilities in order to update this existing policy. However, for more sophisticated or more technical system administrators, there is an option to launch a Java code editor where more custom code can be done and for more sophisticated rules. So changes can be made at that level as well. But for purposes of our demonstration, I'm going to go into this low-code, no-code editor here, and I'm going to modify the parameters from 2,500 to 3,000. And so I'm just going to change the condition description as well as the parameters for our rule itself. So I'm going to do that in several places. Just so you can understand the change from 2,500 to 3,000. And then what I'm going to do before I publish this new version of the rule, I'm going to quickly run a test on the rule to understand the implications of making this change. So as Kai pointed out earlier, we have this test playground, which can be launched by clicking this Flask icon in the right-hand margin. And then I'm going to specify some options for conducting this test. So I know that this eligibility rule pertains to nutrition assistance. So I'm going to run this rule against our nutrition assistance program. So it's as simple as clicking that benefit model and clicking the run test. And you can see immediately the outcome of that test, that indeed we can make sure that the test is functional and that results in a compliance. So having completed the test, I'm now going to publish this rule where we get a confirmation message that's going to say that we're going to augment our version from 6.0 to 6.1. And I'm going to confirm that and publish that new rule. And here now you can see that the monthly gross income threshold has increased from $2,500 a month to $3,000 a month. The second demonstration I'd like to run through with you is around creating a net new eligibility rule. So again, just to tee up, our user persona here, again, is our system administrator, Michael Smith. The situation involves a new law that was passed to introduce a net new eligibility parameter. So I'm going to go into that same UI. I'm going to create a net new policy or eligibility rule. I'm going to show you how we go about doing that. And then ultimately, I'm going to publish that rule so that you can see it in production. Right? So I'm going to switch back to my instance. And I'm going to close out this tab from our previous demo. And I'm going to start by clicking on this new button here to launch the policy builder. So we start off with a blank policy. So I'm going to specify a policy name, as well as a brief policy description, just for purposes of demonstration. I'm then going to click Save to save the draft of this policy. And then I'm going to navigate over to our Policy Builder tab, where I'm going to specify the parameters of that tab. Oh, apologies there. So the first thing involved in this is to specify our condition description. And then what we want to do is then locate the source or determine where the data for this specific policy resides. And we can do that by simply dot walking through to locate information that's associated with our social benefits case. And in this case, I'm going to examine the constituent, the person who's applying for the benefit. And I'm going to locate the state attribute. Okay. And for purposes of our demonstration, I'm going to indicate that this person is a resident of the state of California. And if that is true, we're going to say that that person is compliant. And we're going to offer up that this person is indeed a California state resident. And then if the person is not, on their application they've indicated that they reside in another state, such as Nevada, Washington, what have you, we're going to indicate that that person is not compliant and the person is a non-resident of the state of California. Okay. So as you can see, a pretty powerful UI here where it is all low code, no code functionality. But as I indicated earlier, for more sophisticated admins, I do have the ability to jump into a JavaScript editor where I can create more custom, more technically oriented eligibility criteria. Okay. So typically here, I could go about testing this new eligibility rule. But as I showed that in the earlier demonstration, I'm going to quickly publish this rule. And you can see here, a confirmation message is presented to me to say, are you sure you want to start to publish this rule without testing? I'm going to do that. And then now we have our version 1.0 of this state residency eligibility rule. So hopefully that provided you with a great insight of how we can both update existing eligibility rules as well as create new eligibility rules. It's very powerful functionality that's really low code, no code, and allows you to manage your eligibility rules in a very simplistic fashion. So with that, I'm going to turn it back over to Kai, who's going to provide a more thorough overview of our social benefit playbook. Kai?
Thanks, Ryan. I'm gonna take the screen. Um, and perfect. Okay, so now that we've seen those demonstrations of our eligibility rules engine, I wanted to zoom out a little bit and show you the end-to-end flow. So that involves a constituent accessing a new benefit program on portal and completing an application to a case agent, viewing the submitted application and processing it, and ultimately making an eligibility determination. So let us see this feature in action. Okay, actually. So we are on the government services portal, and a constituent, Shauna Tyler, has navigated to it because she is looking for a nutrition assistance program. She has a young son, John, and she's having a hard time putting food on the table for her family. And she thinks that this nutrition assistance program could help. So, just to orient you, on the left-hand side, we have all of the steps for the application listed out for her. This helps to orient her, helps her start to prepare. She sees that some income information, some financial information is needed, so she can start to prepare for that. And also just to highlight this again, right, there's built-in auto saving, so she can stop and start at any point in time. But the first thing she's going to see is that she's prompted to answer a couple of eligibility questions. And think of this as a pre-screener. So she just has to answer a few questions, and then the system will identify whether there's a good chance that she'll be a good fit for the nutrition systems program. She also gets to see that another program has been suggested to her. So the system has identified unemployment insurance as another program that might be a good fit. And she'll actually be able to apply for unemployment insurance at the end of this process using some of the basic data from her nutrition assistance program application. So it's neat that she's able to reuse that data and just kickstart that other process. I won't drain all of the application steps, but I do want to highlight a few things. So, as you can see here, one of our initial steps involves having the applicant just fill out their information. A lot of this is pre-filled because this is an authenticated user, and we do ask that constituents authenticate for benefit applications. So a lot of this is already pre-filled. But there's additional things that she can do, such as add people to her benefit application, like a spouse or a child. That's that third step here. She can do things like provide income information, such as her jobs or other sources of income. Another thing I want to highlight here is the upload documents activity, where we've made it easy for her to associate all of the key documents to the right people within her household. Again, these are just the out-of-the-box activities, but you can rearrange these, you can remove some, add some. You can really tailor this to reflect your specific agency's process. So we prompt her to confirm application details to review everything, and then it's time for Shauna to sign and submit. And once she does so, then she's going to be prompted with that unemployment insurance application that we uh, saw recommended to her previously. So that's going to just show up in a moment. So you see that a new step has been created, and it's called apply for additional programs. And so if she wanted to, she could go ahead and apply for unemployment insurance using her basic information from this form. For the purposes of this demonstration, we're going to skip this. Okay, now let's move on to the agent experience. So the agent from the configurable workspace can go ahead and get working on Shauna's application. And just to orient you to what the agent has available to them, up top, there are chevrons that highlight the four key stages that the case agent will work through. On the upper left, you can see the steps within this particular stage. And then there's key information below that the agent can always reference. We also have on the right the contextual side panel where the agent can pull in additional details as needed. But right now we're in review, and that's because the constituent completed all of the intake activities on the portal. And here, the case agent can review the application. So all of the sections of the application are linked. So the case agent can just click on one and start to drill down and to review the information. I'm going to assume that the agent goes through all of the sections and reviews them, and then can move on to the next step, which is to check for duplicate benefits. So this is an activity that's actually common across our packaged applications. It's an activity that surfaces similar requests with really the goal of helping you manage duplicative requests and also helping to reduce fraud. So you can see if Shauna has applied for nutrition assistance in the past and whether she received it. And if this was a duplicative case, you could mark it as such and move to decision. In this instance, we're not going to do that just so that we can see the full flow. And we're going to say that there's no duplicates found. And then the next activity that we're going to see is verify supporting documentation. So this is an opportunity for a case agent to make a qualitative assessment of the documents that have been submitted by the constituent. And so they can go ahead, open each document, and make sure it looks valid. So let's try it for John Tyler. It does not look like a social security card. It looks like the constituent accidentally submitted a photo or a drawing of her child. So she's going to instead flag this as not valid. But yeah, the case agent will go through all of the documents, and if it looks good, then they will verify. The ones that are flagged are grouped together so that the case agent can send one consolidated message asking for requested information. So the case agent is going to request documents, and what we're going to see shortly is that on the government service portal, the constituent is going to be able to resubmit the document for her son. So, right, she had accidentally submitted the wrong photo, but now she can submit the correct social security card and help unblock her case agent. So this is going to enable the case agent to proceed with the remainder of the process. So let's go back to that. So we should be able to mark complete. Oh, actually, I need to refresh. So the case agent is prompted to review the document again now that it's been resubmitted. It looks all good. It's the right document this time. So she can verify that it is correct. The next activity that we've built into the process is an optional activity, and it's called conduct interview. And this is because we saw that many agencies, especially those in the US, often have a consultative interview with uh, applicants to help get to know them better. And so, as part of this, sometimes you need, right, you need to do some scheduling, you need to set an appointment date, an appointment time, etc. I won't go through this process now, but just wanted to highlight you that we have built this into our package application as an optional activity. So now we're on to the process stage. So this is where the auto-generated recommendation comes into play, which I had mentioned previously. So we can see that the eligibility rules engine has made an assessment that this constituent meets the requirements. We can drill down and see exactly which rules were met in order for that assessment to be generated. If we scroll down, we can also see that a benefit summary has been calculated. So the case agent can see exactly how much is owed to the constituent, and all of the adjustments that have been made. The case agent can use this information to make their own determination. Um, Out of the box, we have still have that human in the loop to make that final um, determination, but you can configure this to make automatic determinations if you see fit. So the case agent's going to suggest granting the benefits, it's going to add some work notes, and then it's going to propose decision. And this is actually going to move this for approval. And actually, the reason why I had us do this as the system admin is to fast forward the approval. So let's do that now. So an approver, and this could be a leader in the agency, a manager, can go ahead, review the determination from the case agent, and just give that final stamp of approval. And then once that's done, it's time to resolve the case. So the case agent's going to set a resolution code. They're going to add any resolution notes, any key details that they want to share with the constituents. And then they're going to close out the case. So yeah, this is how the Social Benefits Playbook from the Q2 2024 store release of PSDS makes it easy to digitize social benefit cases from end to end. Alrighty, so I'm going to go back to the presentation now. Um, so wanted to kind of wrap up with providing more of a comprehensive view into what we support today. So we've built upon our data model for the Social Benefits Playbook application. We've extended government service case to create a social benefits case type. We've created a product model extension table so that it's easy to model the social benefit programs that your agency offers. We have encrypted fields for PII information to make sure that we're protecting constituent information. Really want to highlight our security. So this is a scoped admin application. So there is an admin particular for this application. There are roles particular to this application. And what this means is that even on the same instance, you can restrict who sees the data in social benefit cases. And that's really important because there is a lot of sensitive information, obviously, in these use cases. From experiences, we're providing guided experiences for both constituents and both for agents. And obviously, we have a lot of process capabilities built in. The last thing I just want to highlight for you is that we are included, packaged within this playbook is the eligibility framework, which we've mentioned quite a bit today. Okay, so just wrapping up with some next steps. Some resources for you is our documentation on social benefits. We have a YouTube playlist for PSDS. I encourage you to check that out. This session will be on that YouTube playlist fairly shortly, so you could always reference back what was discussed today there. So those are some key things I want you to be aware of. I'd also love to keep the conversation going. I'm going to launch another poll to see kind of what the interest looks like for maybe an office hours as a follow-up to this conversation, to dive even more deeply into the capabilities and, to meet members of the product team and development team and ask those questions in an even more intimate setting. So, going to launch this poll. Go ahead, let us know what you think. Cool. I'm gonna give it a few more moments just to see if we can get any last few opinions. But it does look like most folks do would love to have an office hour. So we'll look into that. Okay, awesome. So thank you guys for participating in that poll. Okay. So again, just wrapping up, some additional things I wanted to highlight here. So there's so much to help you continue your learning journey. ServiceNow Impact is a resource to help you realize value faster across your business, across your agency. So if you want to learn more about Impact, I encourage you to check that out. There's also lots of training and certification available to you. So I encourage you to review our technical training guide to help yourself get up to speed. And then if you need some additional help with your implementation, we have a team at ServiceNow designed to help you. So there's expert services that can really guide you through that implementation. So again, just highlighting some resources for you as you continue wrap. But thank you so much, everyone, for your time. It was great to talk about this topic with you. This is something that we're very passionate about on our end. We're excited to see it come out into the world and to have customers like you try it and to give us feedback on it. So thank you, thank you, thank you. All righty. I think that is it.